going to do this media stuff. I'm going to make promises that I can over-deliver on, but they think are crazy. I'm going to do a free guest event, all very expensive to do. And then I'm going to do demonstrations in that event that I can turn people around, and then I'll invite them to the seminar, and it'll be a no-brainer. And it worked. I was up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. That's where I started up there. I had some friends up there, and I got in the media. And I challenged people. I said, I don't care what your problem is. I got on a radio show. I don't care if you've got uncontrollable phobias. I will handle it in an hour or less because I am the one-stop therapist. And people call up and say, can you do this? Can you do this? And I said, yes, 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 yes. Whatever they said, I said, yes. And then this guy called on the phone, on the radio, live. Says, you're a liar, you're a charlatan. People like you should not be allowed on the radio. I'm a psychiatrist. What you're saying is impossible. It can take a decade to cure a phobia. I said, sir, I said, are you a scientist? He said, of course. I said, well, then you must be stating, you wouldn't be making an assumption, would you? You'd be saying, you're proposing a concept that would be tested, right? Isn't that what science is? He goes, yeah. I said, great. Why don't you bring me your worst patient? I'm doing a free guest event at the Holiday Inn on Thursday at 7:30, and I'll handle it. And then if I'm a liar, you'll be able to prove it. I said, you know, bring me something you've never been able to cure. I said, I'm sure you have plenty of those. True story. You want to play hardball? I'll play hardball. He goes, well, we all have patients that aren't ready to change. I said, that's funny. I haven't found any. Of course, I've done 4 therapies at that point, total. But I built a sense of certainty to put my ass on the line. It's amazing. I always tell people, you want to take me out of it, burn your boats. As long as you have a way out, the human mind will sneak in and you'll pull back. But if there's no way out, you won't give up, you'll push through. So I put myself in a box I couldn't get out of, I could only go forward. And sure enough, he goes, well, what do you say? I said, I'm sure you have something. So I have this one woman I work with, you know, she has this phobia. So what is this? It's a snake phobia. But she doesn't need a snake. At night, she feels a snake bites her on the face, and then adrenaline goes through her body because it's so real, and it wakes her up. How often? 4 to 7 times a night. How long have you been treating her? 7 years. True story. I said, well, that should take me 10 or 15 minutes. Guy goes crazy. The guy cuts him off. So see you tomorrow night at the Holiday Inn. Next night at the Holiday Inn, you know, now I got a packed office, so I found the right technique. Because everybody wants to see the shootout at OK Corral between me and this guy, right? Every other radio, they show up and we're packed. We got more than 500 people, and people standing in the aisles. I'm praying that the fire marshal doesn't come because I know what he's going to do. He'd shut me down in a heartbeat. And I'm looking for this person. But I've never met him. He wouldn't tell me his name. So are you like me in this way? When I hear someone meet somebody on the phone for the first time, I can't help it. I make a picture of what they look like. How many of you do that? I'm curious. Quite a few of you, right? So I picture this huge guy with this like scared woman on his arm. Nobody matched that description. So finally those days I introduce myself. I get on the stage, I say, good evening, I'm Tony Robbins. I'm here to share with you some tools that can help you make changes in minutes that you thought would take months or years. I know that sounds like hyperbole, but, and right as I say but, the side door like a movie bursts open, and this guy about this tall walks in. He's woman wrapped in his arm, and while I'm speaking, I'm standing on the stage only about this tall, he stands right in front of me with this woman. I said, excuse me, it looks like I have a visitor. And so I go and I start shaking the guy's hand, more shake my hand, goes, here's the woman. I said, okay, man, why don't you come up here? And I sat up in the chair and I said, well, how have you heard me on the radio the other night? Everybody raised their hand. I said, well, this is the woman in question. I said, ma'am, how long have you been treated? She said, 7 years. I said, how do you feel? Well, snakes! I yelled, shake. I mean, you have to say snake. Have you ever seen a phobic response? It's an uncontrolled response to a snake. So I calm her down. And I take 12 minutes. And I do a series of techniques I can teach anybody. I do teach everybody. And at the end of it, I say, how you feel? Snakes! She doesn't even move. She just smiles. I said, wow, is that first? She goes, really good. I said, okay. And I turned around and I walked up on the stage and there was a whole platform there and underneath it I had a bag. And I come up and I walk with the bag and the audience sees it before she does because the bag's moving underneath. And so I reach in, I go, how do you feel? Boom. And she did pull back, but then she calmed right down. She's like staring at the snake. And I said, how do you feel about snakes? And I brought a little closer. She goes, they're not very attractive. I said, I know, but you couldn't even hear the word snake without screaming and shaking before. She goes, yeah, this is unbelievable. I said, you want to hold it? She goes, it's not very attractive. And she said, I don't know. And people started going, hold it, hold it. So So she grabbed the thing and started squeezing it. I said, don't kill it. That was my first breakthrough. Because the next thing I did was, I tell you that because I want you to understand, if you're going to build your brand, there's nothing like results. All your effort promotion is going to be replaced by whether you actually produce results or not.
Yes.
If you produce results, it's amazing. Jim Robbins, I started telling you, was answering a question for me. I had these 4 fathers, and we were always broke. I'd feed people because we didn't have money for food at Thanksgiving. Somebody fed my family then. So I never forgot I want to feed others. But I asked Jim Robbins, like, why is it? Why is it all of my fathers were broke? They're good men. And Jim said something I'll never forget as long as I lived. Pass it on to you in case you haven't thought of it this way. He said, Tony, I kept talking about it was so unfair that like a teacher only earned this and this guy that does hedge funds makes $1 billion a year. And he goes, Tony, he goes, we're all equal as souls, but we're not equal in the marketplace. And if you want to have a superior life in the marketplace, you have to develop yourself. And you have to do things that are difficult. And most importantly, even if you do all that, you have to find a way to do more for others than anybody else in your category. If you find a way to add more value, do more for others than anybody else, you will dominate if you do it year after year, decade after decade. He goes, you know, working at McDonald's, that was another example. Somebody working when they're barely surviving, he goes, what job are they doing? Not being disrespectful. You can teach, anyone can do that job in 24 hours or less. It's not valuable. These days it's replaced now by machines and algorithms and robots are coming. The job's gonna be completely gone. Because anybody can learn to do it, you don't need a lot of talent or skill. But he said, the gentleman you mentioned is this billionaire guy. He goes, he made last year $5 billion for his clients. No, $8 billion, it was $8 billion. So he made $1 billion. Those are families, those are businesses, those are nonprofits. He is worth $1 billion because of the skill he's developed. When most people in those days were getting like a 6% return, he produced a 49% return, which means you double your money every 2 years. He said, you must work harder on yourself than you do your job, and you must find a way to add more value. So I got it, but then I expected it all to happen in the first year, and the first year was a learning experience, so was the second. So now I got momentum, I figured this shit out. I know what I'm gonna do. These big guest events. Everybody signed up for my seminar because I did these great demonstrations. They were blown away. I got the formula. I got my ClickFunnels basically. Right? This is it. And I did my third one like that. I got now this giant seminar. In those days, giant seminars, 150 people. I was out of my mind. And at the end of one of these last presentations, this man's waiting in line till everybody's gone, shakes my hand, and said, that was a great presentation. I said, thank you. And he flashes me his badge. He said, I'm from immigration here in Canada. Oh, nice to meet you. I think much. He goes, can I see your work permit? I said, what's a work permit? He goes, you're American, right? I said, yeah. He goes, you cannot work, you cannot sell, you cannot do anything in Canada without a work permit. And you don't have one, do you? I said, no. I wasn't hiding, I didn't know. He goes, not knowing is not the answer. He said, we have many complaints from people here that you're taking Canadian jobs. I said, you have a bunch of firewalkers here? I have name one. There was people in the NLP community who'd been there for 10, 20 years and had 10 people seminars, and they were threatened, so they called these people. They didn't call me, they called these people. He says, I need you to see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. I said, my seminar starts at 7:30. He goes, I need you at 6 p.m. If you don't show up, I'll come for you. I said, what? He goes, just come. I'm a little freaked out. But everything's on target. I'm gonna do a great seminar. I'm ready for 4 days and nights. I'm gonna over-deliver this. I'm gonna blow their mind. I'm so excited. I'm driven to, same as I am today, to lift people up. I don't have to work another day in my life. And most of you don't have to, or soon won't have to if you do what's right, but you'll work the rest of your life because it's what fulfills you. But back then, I didn't have any money. I show up at 6, and I'm sitting in the chair till 6:30. I'm getting really close to the seminar. 6:45, I say to the person, I got a seminar start. Finally brings me in and says, cancel your seminar. I said, what? He said, cancel your seminar. I said, I can't cancel it. He goes, give people the money back. You don't have a work permit. I said, well, can't you just give me a work permit? He goes, no. I said, you're telling me to cancel the seminar? I said, I don't have money to give them back. I already spent all the money in the event because I wasn't making money on it. He goes, well, you're going to have to come up with me, because if you show up and you walk on that stage, we will come up and handcuff you, put you in jail, and export you to the United States.
Wow.
Your career is done in Canada. What would you do in that situation? I got pissed. That was what I used to do. Now I get more creative, but I got pissed, and then I got creative. It's like, screw this. I called my 3 volunteer staff members. That's how many people I had those days. Now I got like 500, right? And I called them up and I said, guys, we got a bit of a challenge. We can't do the seminar in Canada. I said, holy shit, what are we going to do? Do we have anybody in mind? I said, no, we're still doing the seminar. They go, what are you talking about? I said, how close is the border? He said, well, at that hour, probably 45 minutes to an hour. I said, what's the closest town? They said, Blaine, Washington. I got on the phone, I called Blaine, Washington. I was doing the Holiday Inn in Vancouver. There was a Holiday Inn in Blaine, Washington. I told the hotel what happened. I said, I need you to transfer me to them. They had a room. I said, go get 15 buses. I said, I'm going to introduce people that we're going on a field trip event. I gathered them together and I said, listen, we're going to do a really cool thing. We're going to America. I said, we're going to get on these buses and we're going to stop every 15 minutes and